Rams versus Buccaneers on Sunday Night Football. Also, the Aaron Donald celebration game. I'm hoping to see a jersey retirement at halftime. But hey, big matchup in the NFC. A lot of playoff implications will unfold in this game. How are the Rams going to beat these Buccaneers? Well, me and Mark, we'll talk about that next on this Keys to Victory game preview episode here on the Rams Up Podcast Network. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Rams Up Podcast Network. I'm Ian. That's Mark. And if you're on YouTube here, you enjoy our content, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any other video for this fun 2025 season and beyond, of course. And if you're on the audio only and or podcast only side of things, share the podcast, share the audio with all your fellow Rams fans. And guys, any of those options, me and Mark very much appreciate it, and that helps other Rams fans see our content. But before we get started, we have a message from the sponsor of this video, MyBookie.
Yeah, we have teamed up with MyBookie. You can join on their website. Use promo code RAMSUP up to $500 in bets fully covered. And what do I have for you this week? Well, the Colts are 3.5-point underdogs at home to the Chiefs. That's a really big game, especially for the Chiefs. Maybe the Colts are cruising. Do they have that division wrapped up? Not quite, but it's the Chiefs are really backed into a corner. I still like the Colts and the points. I really thought that would be a pick 'em. And the Titans getting 13.5 against our friends from up north, the Seahawks. I kind of like. I can't say no to 13.5 points with any NFL team, so I'm taking that one too. And hey, this coming week, we're going to have some really good deals around Black Friday, the Black Friday game. So be listening for that. Some really good MyBookie deals on the way. But what other game? Cowboys plus 3.5 hosting the Eagles. That Cowboys offense is getting fired up. Quinn and Williams is added to that defense. They're going to give the Eagles a game, I think. That's my last pick of the week. MyBookie, promo code RAMSUP.
Well, everyone. Isn't it good to be here with the Rams leading the division in first place? I think so. But Mark, how you doing, man? Are you enjoying this time of year? I mean, not that long ago, we were in a weird place with this team where they were blowing games, losing against 49er backups, and that sucked. Now here we are hosting a primetime game in full control of the NFC West as of right now, and hopefully climbing that ladder to eventually get the number one seed. And this goes a long way of this Rams-Bucs matchup.
Yeah, as bad as we felt, those two games, early games, Eagles, 49ers, we felt like we should have won. Well, we should have won. And then you got this game against the Seahawks where that was not the best demonstration of this team's ability, in my opinion. I got some flack on the channel for saying the Seahawks outplayed us. Kind of feel that way, though. And we still got a W, though. So things even out over the course of the season. Rams got a little fortunate. Defense made some big plays, and we're 8-2. Control our own destiny, but we got some tough games ahead of us.
Yeah, and the tough game ahead is Rams versus Buccaneers in this Week 12 Sunday night football matchup. My goodness. I mean, Mark, I'm just thinking about it, right? There's not that many primetime games that are happening here at SoFi Stadium. What the hell's up with that? We got the Thursday game against the Niners. I was there for that one. We lost, but at least we were, shown on national TV. We missed the window for Rams Seahawks to get flexed by 1 week. It would be this week going forward where it could be allowed. But hey, we got this matchup, and then no other SoFi Stadium primetime games the rest of the year. That's pretty lame. So,
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of Sunday night games for our Rams, period. I just waiting out the whole day. It can be a nice, relaxing Sunday, but you got the big game at the end of the day. I'd rather play. I'd rather play in the day during the day myself. Monday night, Thursday night's a little bit different, but Sunday, man, Sunday night games are not my favorite for our Rams.
Well, hey, touche, because I get it. Anyone out there, I'm sure you're thinking the same way. A lot of times the Rams don't play good on prime time, and we saw a portion of that this season already against, our rivals up in Northern California. So totally get it, but we'll see how they perform this week, and we'll find out how good or not good this team really is as they continue to play playoff level teams for majority of the season. It feels like a lot of big games still upon us, even after this Week 12 matchup. But hey, Rams, Bucks, old friend Baker Mayfield comes back to town. Haven't faced him in quite a time since that disaster 2022 season. Hasn't even played in the stadium, I believe. I don't think he's played the Chargers at SoFi, if my memory serves me correctly on that. But before we get into previewing that matchup fully, right? Their roster, depth chart, who should we watch out for, best players, how we're going to win. We always like to talk about the history between the two teams. How about that Rams versus Buccaneers history as we pull up a fun slide here? What is that head-to-head all-time on that, Mark? And everyone tuning in. Well, the head-to-head, Rams have the advantage in the regular season, 16 wins to 10 losses, and 3 matchups in the playoff tournament. Mark, I'm going to give you a quick little, on the spot quiz. Do you remember all 3 matchups and who was and what round they were? Do you remember?
Yeah, and I cheated because I've been researching my pop quiz on these two teams, and at the end of the 1979 season, it
Mhm.
was the NFC Championship. At the end of the 1999 Greatest Show on Turf season, it was the NFC Championship, the Ricky Pearl
Mhm.
catch. And then in 2020, was it the end of the 2022 season or the end of the
21.
2021 season? In
Mhm.
January of 2022, it was the Tom Brady versus Stafford Cooper Cup with the catch that saved the day. We gave up a 27-3 lead, I think it was.
Jesus.
That was a divisional playoff, which sent
Yeah.
us to play the 49ers, who had beaten us to sneak into the playoffs in the first place at the end of the regular season.
Yeah.
Something like that. So it was, and that was, and all 3 of these games were, it resulted in the Rams going to the Super Bowl.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, all stepping stones to Rams Super Bowl appearances.
Crazy, right? It was
And yeah,
the Doug
right,
Williams Buccaneers, I believe, where they was 9-0 they won. It was a field goal fest, and
right.
eventually Rams lost to the Steelers in the Rose Bowl, where that Super Bowl was. That would have been cool for them to win it in LA way back when. Couldn't do it. Cromwell dropped a probably pick 6 that probably, would have turned the tide in that game. Oh well, we won't bring up bad memories, everyone. And then 99 got it done, luckily. The St. Louis Rams with Ricky Prohl getting the crazy catch late in that game. And then obviously Tom Brady's Bucks got dethroned in their back-to-back campaign, and Matthew Stafford threw the love of the game route to Cooper Cup. So these Bucks Rams games, long story short, everyone, mean a lot. It
Yeah,
seems like when we
they
played them throughout the years, there's always some craziness going on. So, how about the last 5 times we played them in this Rams Bucks history? And with this, everyone, pretty gnarly if you think about it, how this has all turned out. Let's go back to 2019, which was the post Super Bowl hangover season. And I was at that game too, where the Rams were getting obliterated by Jameis Winston Buccaneers, right? The whole defense was playing bad. Marcus Peters was getting burned. Akeem Talib was getting beat. It was bad. Rams offense wasn't getting anything going majority of that game until the end, and they started to catch up. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to make a comeback, right? Marcus Peters had a pick 6. I remember all that because I was there for that game of the Coliseum. And then final play of the game, and Dominican Sue strip sack, returns it for a touchdown. The score gets a little wonky, 55-40. That sucked. 2020, it was Monday Night Football against Tom Brady's Bucks. His first year there, they had the big upset victory. I think Van Jefferson caught his first touchdown. Cam Akers had a nice day. Robert Woods had a good day. Jared Goff had a good day. I think Jordan Fuller picked up Tom Brady twice. They were both pick 199, so that was a big moment I remember in that game. 2021, I was at that game. right? That was a 1 o'clock game, wasn't a primetime game, which was crazy if my memory serves me correct on that. Deshaun Jackson burned him a couple times. The offense was unstoppable. Tom Brady's Bucs didn't do Jack Tilly squat with Gronkowski. I want to say Antonio Brown was still there, I believe. Uh, a bunch of guys, and they beat them pretty convincingly. That was a good day. I remember being there at SoFi Stadium. Then 2022 playoff game where it was a heart attack, us almost blowing a lead as Cam Akers fumbled late in the fourth quarter. Then we won that one, as we talked about. And then in 2022, in the disaster season, as the only lone good moment was Cooper Kupp's, bomb touchdown where he outran the Bucs defense. And then multiple times where the Rams just could not get Jack Tiddley squat going on offense, which kept the Buccaneers season alive as both teams were trying to avoid only getting the 3 wins. As let's pull that up, everyone. That was a bad time in Rams history, if you remember that one. November 6, 2022. Remember, Matthew Stafford was getting killed the entire game. The O-line had a gazillion backups on it. If my memory serves me correctly, Bobby Evans was crying in the locker room after, reporters said, because he knew how bad he played and he felt like he single-handedly let the offense down because he was just getting smoked the entire day. 165 for Stafford, 1 touchdown. Darrell Henderson, 12 attempts, 56. Cooper Kupp had over 100, but a lot of that came on 1 catch with his touchdown. Tom, Rashad White, Chris Godwin. That was a crazy last time we played them, Mark. And that really threw the game or threw the season in the toilet as both teams were, 3-4 going into that, which is crazy.
Yeah, the regular season games certainly don't live up to the playoff games we've had with them. And I wanted to mention that 1999 game, going back a flashback here real quick. That was, remember that Bert Emanuel catch that got reversed? One of the strangest reversals in the history of the league. And that actually led to a rule change, I think. And I went back and looked at that today, and it was a catch. I'm sorry, it was a catch. But sorry, got you off track here, but I wanted to mention that that was a really big play in the history between these two teams. But man, that this last game here, yeah, it was pretty dreadful.
Pretty dreadful, and a lot of things are different with both squads, right? I mean, Tom's retired, Stafford's still around, Rashad White, Chris Godwin's still around, Cooper and Darrell are gone. A lot of that roster is completely different as well, both on both sides, which is crazy. As guys, that history is insane. But how about the season as a whole for these Buccaneers as of today, right? How many games have they won? What are their losses to? Let's pull that up now. As hey, a team that has stumbled due to injury, really, Mark. Remember Baker Mayfield was like the unanimous MVP for the first handful of weeks of that season, which is crazy, right?
Yeah, and he had an incredible year last year as well.
Yeah, I mean, for a team that has 6 wins right now, you feel like they should have more, truthfully, just based on you look at the offensive firepower at least, and the coaching and some of the big stars on defense. We'll get to them a little bit later, but hey, a gutsy win against Atlanta, right? Divisional game, week 1. That's always tough, no matter how good or bad both teams end up actually being later. They had that gritty Monday night game. Remember, the Buccaneers were kind of scraping at the end. Baker's talking crap to CJ Gardner-Johnson and running for first downs and getting flipped. They won that. Had the narrow game against the Jets when they were wearing the creamsicles, and everyone's like, MVP Baker. And I was like, yeah, he probably is. Then they had the loss against Philly where, Baker didn't play his best, but the Buccaneers defense didn't either. They had the crazy creamsicle win against Seattle. Hey, thanks for that, Baker and Bucs, for that win, right? Where they both were the throwbacks. That was like game of the year. And then they beat San Fran convincingly. Thanks for that, Buccaneers. Helps us out. And then they had the bad loss against Detroit. They had the narrow victory, really against New Orleans. Had the bad loss against New England, and then had a shootout loss this past week to Buffalo. So, and a lot of that, guys, they've been injured. They've been banged up. And again, we'll get to that roster very, very shortly. But I think overall, Mark, just because you're like, oh, they're only 6 wins, they're not that good. That's not the right approach if you feel that way, Rams Nation, right, Mark?
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, they really went up to Seattle and put a bunch of points up on the board. So this is a an offense that if they get, if they get in tempo and they get, they're in sync, they're really, really dangerous. And Bucky Irvin could be back in this game. I'm not sure
Yeah,
about that yet. Chris Godwin could be back. So this is a dangerous team on offense, especially.
it definitely is. And let's get into that roster, right? So, hey guys, we'll break down the roster, some offense, some defense, some special teams. Who in this who is in the starting lineup, excuse me, and who are those best players from those position groups? So we'll start with that Buccaneers offense or the Bucs offense, whatever lingo you like on that. And if you're here on YouTube watching along with us, you can see the names of everyone. If you see a red dot next to a player's name, that player has been a Pro Bowler in his career. If you see a green dot next to that player's name, that guy has been an all-pro player in his career. And if you happen to see a blue dot, that means that guy has been a former Ram, in case you see that in any of the lineups this week and any week we're going through game preview episodes. So we'll start with the man who made the 2022 season so much fun, Mark, at the end, where everything was looking crappy. Baker Mayfield, the Pro Bowl quarterback that Cleveland said, "We don't want you. We want Deshaun." That went terrible. Carolina Panthers said, "We don't want you. We want anybody else." That hasn't gone great either. And Mark, no doubt about it, Baker Mayfield is one of their best players by far. I truly believe in an alternate timeline. Let's just say Stafford's spinal cord contusion injury was way more severe, where Stafford had to retire or maybe just called it quits on his own. There is no doubt in my mind that in an alternate timeline, in that one I just described, Baker Mayfield will be the Rams quarterback, right?
Yeah, I'd be happy with that. I'd be thrilled with that. I mean, I'll take Stafford obviously right now, but
Yeah, of
if
course.
Mayfield was a replacement, yeah, he's probably. I was thinking about this today, watching some film on him, watching him against the Bucks and the Saints. Really mix it up a lot, and I think
Yeah.
he's the quarterback I'd least like to fight in the National Football League. Is what I'm thinking. He's a gritty, tough guy with a lot of moxie, great arm, can move around, can hurt you with his legs a little bit. Yeah, he'd be a really nice fit with this Rams offense, and would certainly have the one thing he'd have on Stafford is the ability to extend plays like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are his stats for the year, everyone, at this point? Right now, 12th in passing yards with 2,365. Not bad. Missing a lot of star players on offense, too. 17 touchdowns, which is 10th best in the NFL right now. Pretty good. Only 3 interceptions. That's pretty dang good. And a quarterback rating of 61.6, which is 13th best in the NFL. Completion percentage around 63.5%, right? Most quarterbacks try to go 65 or better, but hey, not bad when you're missing a lot of key players on offense. And this is something people I think don't realize or just kind of commonly forget about unless you really think about it, Mark. The guy runs really well. Like he is sneaky athletic, sneaky fast, sneaky strong. Like maybe because he's not the biggest guy, he's more dense, right? He's a little more compact. But outside of the mega cannon he has, one of the strongest arms in the NFL, outside of him throwing laser beams, which he can do, outside of the ass kicker mentality he has, which I enjoy for a quarterback, right? You don't see a lot of guys that are like that 24/7. I appreciate that from you, Baker, as you showed that as a Ram way back when. But Mark, they'll design read options for him. They'll design quarterback power with him every once in a blue moon. And then if things aren't open, he'll scramble and get positive yardage or get a tough 3rd and 5, 4th and 2, whatever. And he's just a baller, man. And he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, despite maybe some up and downs moments this season. I don't give a damn. He's one of the best players, and he is an X factor in this game that we hope he doesn't go off.
Yeah, I agree with everything you've said. He's just one tough son of a gun, and yeah, I've seen that a lot. Watching tape on him a little bit today, he's not afraid to run, not afraid to, he'll extend his runs a little bit more than a lot of quarterbacks. Take some chances on the sideline, those types of plays. Doesn't mind getting hit a little bit, So he's
Yeah, you don't.
yeah, it's really hard to dislike this guy. It really is.
Yeah. I'll always be a fan of Baker outside of the Ram stuff. I just think very old school way of quarterbacking he has about him, at least personality wise, which I appreciate. Everyone wants to be all proper CEO and say the exact right things all the time. I like guys that talk a lot of shit. You know what I mean? Like I enjoy that. It's part of football, everyone. Sorry, everything's not PG. Like we would hope normal life to be. That ain't real life. I like that Baker don't play around with that, and he keeps it real. So one of their best players by far. Not a shock, as he was an MVP caliber guy earlier in the year. So as we go down to the rest of the roster, hey, let's not forget about Teddy Bridgewater, who was once a Pro Bowl guy with the Minnesota Vikings, and that's a good backup quarterback to have. Then Bucky Irving, he is not on IR. He is practicing. He is questionable. Didn't play the last handful of weeks, or it feels like what, a month or more, if my memory's right on that, Mark. It's been quite some
It's been
time.
a while. Yeah.
It's either him or this guy, Sean Tucker, where out of nowhere all of a sudden he's just shredding guys in the Bucky Irving role, which is great, as he torched the Buffalo Bills this last week, which is out of nowhere. And then let's not forget about Rachaad White, who was a good starting caliber running back as well, more of the bigger body, slam it forward type guy. So they have three running backs, everyone, that are damn good. As again, I know I don't have second and third string pictured, but Rachaad White, Sean Tucker, Bucky Irvin, that may be the best 1, 2, 3 in the NFL based on what we've seen from them on film this handful of year mark.
Yeah, I mean, Sean Tucker, to be quite frank, I was unfamiliar with. And then I think he was picked up by about 27,000 fantasy football teams in the last few weeks, tearing it up. So he's been getting the job done. I don't think it's a drop off from Bucky Irvin, but they're in good hands if they have to lean on Sean Tucker in the running game for sure.
I mean, gosh dang it. We really just couldn't get lucky. The Bucs had to find another version of a Bucky Irving. And then, Bucky probably will end up playing this game if knowing our luck. How fun on that. Now, as we move to the wide receiver core, Emeka Ibuka, who is like the clear offensive rookie of the year guy, it's kind of tailed off since then as teams have kind of schemed up against him a little bit better, but he's still pretty outstanding. I still expect him to be in the running for that award, Mark. And then Chris Godwin Jr., their version of like a Cooper Kupp, bigger slot guy, right? He is questionable. He's been a Pro Bowler in his career, right? Was killing it with Jameis, killing it with Tom, and still doing his thing and killing it with this version of the Bucs. And I know he had a brutal ankle injury. What was that, last year at the end of the season, or a dislocation, torn this, torn that, broken that. It was bad. Seems like he might be on track to play again this week, finally, after many weeks of coming back, getting banged up. So we'll see what version of him we get, but he's been an awesome player in this league, Mark. Then you have Tez Johnson filling in for an injured Mike Evans, the All-Pro, as he's on IR for his hamstring and other leg issues, unfortunately. He's been good, the rookie. Then Sterling Shepard, I feel like his career was done at one point with knee issues as a Giant, et cetera, et cetera. But then here he is filling in, rotating in, and he's making plays on a weekly basis. And then you'll see maybe a little bit of Ryan Miller and even some Cameron Johnson, who has made some big moments. So not just a running back group, Mark, but the wide receiver group is pretty dang deep too. And all these guys can ball out on you.
Yeah, Tez Johnson, I remember he was a guy that I discounted in the draft because he's very slight, smaller guy, a
Yeah.
speed burner, but he's made some incredible catches this year. He's
Yeah.
stepped up for them, and he's a guy you got to be concerned of on every snap. He can really hurt you.
Yeah. And then again, no Mike Evans this game, everyone, as he is on injured reserve. So we avoided seeing a future Hall of Famer at wide receiver going against us. That helps our cause. But again, maybe Chris Godwin plays, maybe he doesn't. Maybe Bucky Irvin plays, maybe he doesn't. Well, that may be a game time decision after pregame warmups to see how they feel. And I guess we'll worry about it when we get there. But how about the tight ends? Kate Otten, Payne Durham, or Durham. Apologies if I butchered that. Kate Otten's a good player, man. Blocks well, gets open in the receiving game, makes tough catches, makes the tough yards after catch where he's trying to bulldoze and get first downs. That's a good group right there, too, Mark.
Yeah, I think Otten is a little bit similar to Higby in a lot of ways, right? Just a reliable, not a stretch the field kind of guy, but We always seem to struggle with tight ends, any tight end, every tight end. So I expect Otten to have his moments against the Rams as well.
And we get to the linemen here, everyone. We'll start with the right tackle. We got Luke Godeke, if I said that right. Luke Haggard, Graham Barton, Ben Bredson, who is questionable for this game, right? And then we get to Tristan Wirfs, the Pro Bowler, All Pro guy, as I make sure I get the right picture for him real quick on this. He is easily one of their best players, Mark. The insertion or reinsertion of his play back in his lineup has made a drastic difference. He is obviously a wall, a personal VIP bodyguard for Baker Mayfield, because when he wasn't in the lineup, Baker was getting, I mean, the pressure from his absence was obvious on film. The amount of times Baker had to hurry because of his absence on throws and getting out of trouble was evident and obvious on film. This guy, if he continues to play like this, he might be a Hall of Fame level player, Mark. He's still a young guy. My memory serves me right. I don't know his exact age off the top of my head, but this guy is one of their best players, and he is someone that can neutralize anyone's best pass rusher and can maul you in the run game too. And he's athletic. Screen game, he's not like some big burly guy that's a wall. He's a wall that moves fast. So, I mean, this guy, we have to game plan from him. Do we attack him with stunts, right, to wrap around him? I think that's a good idea. Because if you just say, hey, Jared, Byron, one-on-one, more times than not, I don't think they're going to win that battle. And it will be a battle, but it'll be tough, man.
Yeah, he's 6'5", 320. He is, in fact, 26 years old, and it seems like he's been around for 10 years,
I
right?
know.
It seems like we've gone against him a bunch of times, and his name always pops up as a force to be reckoned with. And yeah, it'd be interesting. The Rams' pass rush, I don't think it's been weak. They haven't gotten the sacks, but they've been bringing the pressure.
Yeah, yeah.
But this guy might be the best offensive lineman they faced all year.
It's definitely feeling that way. Shout out to Trent Williams, but he's an older version of himself. He's not like prime Trent. This guy's in his prime, and he still has a lot of years of prime good football to play. So he is 1,000% one of their best players, and it's not even a question, in my opinion. But how about we move on to the defense, everyone? Let's get to that defense that is known for blitzing a ton with Todd Bowles, right? They run a 3-4 defense, which is a similar setup to what we do on with our 3-4 defense. And real quick, memory jogger for everyone. That is a nose tackle, 2 DNs, quote unquote, / D tackles, 2 outside linebackers, and 2 inside linebackers. So that's the setup we do. And obviously, yes, a lot of nickel, a lot of dime, quarter, of course. But the fundamentals come from a 3-4 defense, which is what our fundamentals are from. So with that defense, let's get into it. Who's out there? You got Elijah Roberts at one of the D tackle spots. And then you got nose tackle Vita Vea, who has been a Pro Bowl guy and one of the best nose tackles by far in the league. And also just a great D tackle in general, Mark, as he is one of their best players easily. He may not have all the crazy stats. He may not have all these crazy sacks, et cetera, but this guy on film is just an ass kicker. So right now, 2.5 sacks, nothing crazy. He's got 20 total tackles, 9 of them are solo, right? Nothing crazy, no forced fumbles. He's got a pass deflect. He's got, some stuff runs. And again, you can say, come on, Ian, he's not making, difference making plays all the time. I tend to disagree on this. Is he, oh my God, wrecking ball, maybe like Aaron Donald? No, he's not in that vein, everyone. But the guy clogs up the middle, gap and a half, even 2 gaps sometimes it feels like. You're like, oh my God, this guy just blew up the whole middle. Has it been perfect every play? Absolutely not. But the crazy thing is, too, there's moments where he can turn it on and be a difference-making pass rusher, maybe not getting a sack, but blowing up the O-line, getting pressure, forcing a pass to be incomplete, hurrying a throw, et cetera, et cetera. And I think to downplay his impact is foolish if you're a Rams fan. And this guy's one of the best players. By far, one of the most underrated D tackles in the league. Very similar to Puna Ford, as Puna's getting recognition now finally. Vita Vea has been that dude up in the middle for a 3-4 defense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no question in my mind. I don't care about the stats. I know that he's just a space eater. 347 pounds,
Yeah,
and he's been there for a while too. Out of the University of Washington, I think he's one of the best, pure run stoppers in the league. And just struck me, I mean, Coleman Shelton's going to have his hands full dealing with this guy if he
Jesus,
lines
yeah.
up over Coleman, but. They played the Eagles earlier. I wonder how if the tush push was tried against this dude. He's one dude that you think would be, give them pause before running a tush push with this guy lined up over center. But yeah, he's a great player. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's crazy. And they gotta find double team matches, right? Or come on, help out Coleman Sheldon there, Kevin and Steve. Right? There's gonna be you gotta help that guy out, please. Help out Coleman to get that guy, I should say. That's probably a better way of putting it. But yep, Vita Vea, one of their best players by far in the Buccaneers. So as we go down, right, you'll see some maybe CJ Brewer, some Elijah Simmons rotating in. Then you got Logan Hall as another D tackle DN starter. Former Ram Greg Gaines is now, relegated to rotational role as he was a Super Bowl champion playing good nose tackle for us, as he can do that as well for them. Then you got Yaya Diaby, Chris, Broswell, who's questionable over this game. All those guys seem to rotate in some aspects and get playing time. Then you got the linebackers, right? Servancy Dennis, if I said that right. You'll see some John Bullock. Then former Pro Bowler Deion Jones, remember his time with the Atlanta Falcons, Mark? He's there on the roster. But then Levante David, as he is definitely one of the best players for the Buccaneers, as he has been on that team, it seems like my entire life as well, Mark, right? And this guy, again, may not be blowing up the stat sheet crazy. Right now, he has 70 total tackles, 34 solo. He's got 2.5 sacks himself. He has an interception. He has a forced fumble, but a true Mike linebacker, a captain of the defense, someone who can orchestrate and get everyone lined up, someone who is good sideline to sideline running people down, who is reliable in pass coverage, who is reliable to, bulk up and get ready to slam in and stop the run, even though he's maybe not this huge, traditional Mike linebacker that's some big, son of a gun like you would picture back in the day, right? He's more of this modern version that has, works out perfectly in this modern game. And this is somebody that you have to account for. The mind games between him and Stafford, right? Checking to play. Maybe he's trying to fool by doing dummy checks. Dummy checks meaning that Rams offense does this, any offense does this, and the defense players do it too, right? Oh, do this, yap, 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 Buccaneer left, Buccaneer right, right? And it's a mind game. He's definitely got that. He's got the trust, I'm sure, in Todd Bowles to pull all that off. He's one hell of a player, man.
Yeah, and he's a guy that's been through at least two free agency cycles, if not more. And he just keeps on re-upping with the Bucs, and I think he's headed to the whatever the Bucs call it, the Ring of Fame, one of the franchise greats. And by the way, Dennis, the guy, the linebacker you mentioned, he was one of Paul's Puka Power picks, if you remember, back in the draft a couple years ago. So he's a solid player, but. Yeah, David, one of the most respected players in the league, I think, for 35 years old and still playing at a high level. And you kept thinking, oh, yeah, maybe that's why he kept on coming back to the Bucs. He was like, he's getting up there in the year, he's getting up there, he's gonna tail off, and it may be just a little bit. He's still a great player, though.
He is, man. And again, somebody that the Rams absolutely have to account for. But let's go back to the defensive depth chart as a whole. So there we are. And then how about Hassan Reddick, who was questionable? He did not play this last week. He's been a Pro Bowl guy. He was good with the Eagles. He was good with the Cardinals. He was good with the Panthers. I know they had that Jets beef that was going on, which is kind of crazy, all that unfolded. But if he's fully healthy and ready to go, he can be a difference maker on the outside there. And then going to the secondary here as a whole, we get Jamel Dean, who has been somebody who's been around with the Bucs a long time too, Mark. We've seen him plenty of times. You got Jacob Parrish at the nickel. You got Zion McCollum, Tyke Smith, and then Antoine Winfield Jr., who has been a Pro Bowler and All-Pro in this league. And he is easily one of the best players for the Buccaneers as well. As he hasn't played a ton this season, he's had injuries and other stuff going on. So right now he's got 48 tackles. He does have a sack. He does have a forced fumble. He's got 5 passes defended. And he does have an interception at the moment right now, which is, hey, better than nothing for a guy who's, people were like, is he going to come back the same? Is he going to be as good? Yada, 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 yada. No, he came back. He's a difference maker. He is a captain of their defense in the secondary. He is somebody that can blitz, can play the slot if he has to a little bit. Obviously is great at the traditional safety spot, can play some free, can play some strong. I'm sure in a pinch, if he really, really had to, he could probably play some outside corner every couple snaps if it was desperately needed. I feel like he's talented enough to do it too. But this guy's, you can say like their version of Quinn Lake, just an all-around, never come off the field type of guy. And he's just one hell of a football player, Mark. And they got a game plan for him for sure.
Yeah, he's another guy that seems like he's been around forever. Just a solid guy. And it seems like the Rams must turn over their guys a lot more often. It seems like because we play teams like the Bucs and they keep on bringing the same guys back. David and Winfield and a bunch of others. Vita Vea. They seem to be more focused on retaining players than the Rams, perhaps. And Winfield's another one, man, a really good player.
Well, the guys they're retaining are ballers, so I mean it makes sense, right?
Yeah,
it makes perfect sense. And for anyone out there, it's like, hey, why not a slide for Emeka Egbuka? As I'm thinking about it. Yes, Emeka Egbuka is one of their best players. Everyone, as we talked about earlier, an offensive rookie of the year guy, someone that could take the top off the defense, someone that me and Mark would have enjoyed to see join the Ram. Maybe not with the first round pick, as I was more leaning, let's go second on him, but he proved my ass wrong and proved a lot of people wrong. Like, hey, I can ball out and be a number one guy. So anyone out there is like, you're not going to include Egbuka as one of the best guys? There you go for you, just in case you were thinking that this whole time. But hey, there's that Buccaneers offense, the Buccaneers defense. But how about the specialists, right? You got Chase McLaughlin as the kicker. Former Ram Riley Dixon, even though I know he wasn't with us for a super long time at all, really. And then Cameron Johnson returning punts. Sean Tucker returning kicks. How fun, right? The home run hitting guy now has another chance a home run hit. And now that's something that the Rams have to worry about, as their specialists on, and special teams haven't done a great job most weeks overall. And so, Mark, I'm just more worried about that Tucker guy, man. Like in the return of thing, like, is this the time we start to see Ethan Evans, maybe have some more unique kicks, or do they just avoid him completely? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I will say that the one thing I can tell you is these guys are all better than our guys, except for maybe the punter, Ethan Evans.
Yeah,
Ethan Evans may have an edge there, but yeah, the Rams' approach to kickoffs is one thing, but it seems like that seems to be the MO for most teams now. Just kick it out of the back of the end zone. And as far as punts go, Ethan Evans had a good day, but I don't know that he's necessarily, we can really count on him for, his directional kicks and keeping he's just as likely to kick the ball out of bounds at the 35 as to, force a punt returner, back at his own 12 and force him to run up the sideline. I don't know. I just don't have a lot of faith in Ethan Evans consistency wise. So yeah, it's certainly something to be concerned about. But hey, Ethan Evans was one of the plays of the game last week, so I don't want to throw too much shade on him. That was a really key play.
Again, the best do or die Rams punt scenario I've ever seen. Thank you, Ethan Evans, as he won NFC Special Teams Player of the Week, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Right. So thank God. Cameron Kitchens robbed the Defensive Player of the Week, by the way. Much of BS on that, as Jalen Carter got it for a couple of pass deflects of the D lineman. Give me a break. Anyway, Rams negative bias continues, even the national media, but we're winning, so that's all that matters, right, everyone? But there you go. That is the Buccaneers roster and their best players. 3 on offense, 3 on defense, and plenty of guys the Rams absolutely have the game plan for, and any of those dudes can wreck the game at any moment of the Sunday night matchup for sure. But how about some head-to-head stats, everyone? How have the Rams done thus far in the season? How have the Bucs done thus far in the season? What do those metrics look like? Offense and defense. And man, oh man, I am excited to talk about this because I think some of these stats are a little misleading. And let's pull those up now. And let's start with that Buccaneers offense, right? We have the Bucs scoring 25.2 points per game, which is 10th best in the NFL. And they haven't had a healthy Chris Godwin or a healthy Mike Evans for a majority of those games. And they haven't had a healthy Tristan Wirfs a majority of those games. I'm sure that number would be way better if all those guys are ready to go. Yards per game and everything else will funnel into that as well, the point of them missing guys. Yards per game right now, 332.2, which is only 17th best in the NFL. Pretty shocking. Rushing, 110 per game, 22nd best in the NFL. 222.2 passing yards per game, which is middle of the pack, 15th. Red zone efficiency, this is pretty shocking, Mark. 51.72% of the time they're scoring touchdowns. That is 25th best. They're nearing the bottom on that. And then sacks allowed, 20, which is 20th best, which means they're on the better side of not allowing sacks. And Baker's good play and him getting rid of the football and running around has saved them in a lot of those instances. And then only 7 giveaways, which is the 27th most in the NFL, which is really, really good. So, Mark, the Buccaneers offense, some stuff that's kind of like, really? They're that low? But again, I'll point out, no healthy Evans, no healthy Godwin, no healthy Wirfs, no healthy Bucky Irving, by the way, for more large parts of the season at different points. They're still good, in my opinion.
Yeah, those red zone numbers, especially when you look at the Rams' success in that regard on defense, that could be a really important factor in this game, obviously. Yep. But like I say, they get guys back, those stats may be rendered somewhat irrelevant.
Yep. The stats can be irrelevant, but I mean, they do tell some of the story here, and there's a lot to be told there for that Buccaneers offense. But okay, how about the Rams defense facing that Bucs offense? Where do they rank in a lot of goods? So points per game, the Rams are only giving up 17.2, which is second best in the NFL, only behind the Denver Broncos, I believe. Damn, those Broncos, they have a good defense. I want that number 1 spot, Mark, but we'll see if we get there or not. So be it. Pretty dang good, pretty elite in my opinion, right? Being second best. Yards per game, this is where things get a little wacky, though, with the Rams on defense. 323 yards per game they're giving up, which is 13th best in the NFL, right? You've seen Sam Darnold get a lot of not garbage time, but a lot of chunk yardage. Mac Jones, you've seen the Eagles in the second half. So there's some, offenses that have good players kind of carve them up overall at moments. So you wish to see them in top 10. Rushing, 100.7 yards per game given up, which is 11th best. Right, you hope to see that number improve, hopefully. And then the passing has been getting worse, unfortunately. 223.3 passing yards per game given up, which is 21st best in the NFL. Again, Mac Jones has got him. Sam Darnold threw for a lot of yards this last game. Jalen. And I hope to see that get better as well. But when you get 4 INTs and you're scheming guys to make plays, and so be it, right? Then this is to your point earlier about red zone. All that with yardage given up on the ground, through the air, total. Who gives a damn if nobody can score in the red zone, as the Rams are the second best red zone defense with only allowing a touchdown 43.75% of the time, only behind the Denver Broncos, of course. So that's pretty damn elite. And then sacks, 27 right now, which is 9th best in the NFL. They haven't had a sack in 2 games in a row, which is pretty irritating with how talented they are, but they've gotten a lot of pressure. They forced a lot of bad throws this last game for Sam, have, made quarterbacks panic tons throughout this year. We hope to see that number increase with the talent on that pass rush. And then turnovers, 18 takeaways, which is second best in the NFL. Thanks, Sam Darnold. And we're only behind the Chicago Bears, which is kind of crazy. They're number one in that mark. But again, kind of stats are a little misleading. But the elite ones, right? Points per game, red zone, turnovers, and then sacks are top 10. I think all the important things when making sure guys don't score points, right?
Yeah, and if you think about it, Sam Darnold might have been better off taking 4 sacks. If he had taken
Yeah,
4 sacks, they might have won this game. Might have won the game against the Rams,
true.
actually. And by
Absolutely
the
true.
way,
So, sheesh.
one category we're not going to catch the Broncos is sacks. It's just incredible the number of sacks they're racking up there in Denver. I think they're pushing 50, close to 50 sacks already. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And
We'll see them in the Super Bowl, maybe.
it seems like, a lot of people are predicting it, whether it be Oz the Mentalist or Colin
Avante, yeah.
Cowherd or other kind of projection I guess databases are kind of like funneling Broncos Rams to meet in the Super Bowl. That'd be a cool, crazy matchup. To
Oh,
two Sean's. Anyway, I won't talk it out of existence. Let's just wait for it to happen in real life. But how about the Rams offense, everyone? How are they stacking up right now? So they are scoring 27.2 points per game, which is sixth best in the NFL. Good to see. Yards per game, 360.9 per game, which is eighth best in the NFL. Great to see as well. Rushing, this still irritates me, but it'll make more sense as I explain here. 114 rushing yards per game, which is 18th best in the NFL. So they're on the bottom half of the league. But again, when you have an MVP quarterback and he's throwing for 246.9 passing yards per game, which is sixth best in the NFL, it's no shock that the rushing would be very, tilted off in the passing direction, right? Totally get that. But red zone, finally, Mark, finally, they are in the top 10 as they are scoring touchdowns now at 64.44% of the time, which is eighth best in the NFL. My goodness, we live in a great timeline where that's finally the case. And then sacks, only allowed 14, which is 29th best, which means they're in the top 4. You can flip it around that way and say they don't allow sacks at the top 4 best in the NFL. That is fantastic, everyone. Fantastic. And Matthew Stafford, has gotten pressured. He's just made great decisions and they've gotten rid of the football. He has a lot to do with that for sure. And then only 8 giveaways, which is 26th best in the NFL, which means they are in the top 10 of not giving it away. Top 5, not top 5, but you know what I mean, everyone. And overall, the Rams offense looking elite, maybe not as elite against another elite defense, but they did enough to score points, right? They got 3 touchdowns, thankfully, to Sam Darnold and some good plays and good execution and some crucial moments. But overall, love to see the rushing get up, but the passing's working so well. So be it. And they're scoring touchdowns in the red zone, everyone. Thank God.
yeah. It's I wonder how much the 13 personnel has to do with protecting Stafford so well. If that factors in, it's obviously the biggest factor you already pointed out. He's just making really good decisions, getting rid of the ball, and
Yeah.
seems to have really good pocket awareness this year, better than in years past, I think. And just not putting the ball on the ground when he does get hit. But the 13 personnel probably helps that stat a little bit. You'd have to think.
Mm-hmm. It does. It has. I mean, it has been, right? We've been lighting
Yeah.
teams up other than Seattle, who's equipped to play the 13. Damn them. But, we'll figure out ways to attack them in the second round and maybe even a third time in the playoff tournament if things kind of just keep trending in that direction, which as of today, why wouldn't it be them again in the playoffs at some point? So to your point of 13 personnel, it's helped a ton, right? Most teams' defenses that aren't anywhere near as good as Seattle's and have the guys that are versatile enough to defend that in base and nickel, et cetera, they're going to get their asses whipped. Hence, the Jaguars, the Saints, the Niners getting obliterated, right, on their defenses. So let's keep it going. No reason to veer away from that this upcoming game against the Bucs defense. But how about that Bucs defense, right? What are they looking like? How do they stack up, league wide right now? So with the Bucs defense, they are allowing 25 points per game, which is 21st in the NFL. They're in the bottom half of the league as they're, not playing the greatest right now. Just call it what it is. Yards per game, 342 given up per game, which is 22nd in the NFL. They're in the bottom half of the league in that. Rushing, 100.4, which is 10th in the NFL. So you say, okay, Ian, they're not bad. But on the flip side of that, passing per game they're giving up is 241.6 yards, which is 27th. So they're near the bottom. They're getting air raided a ton in recent games, right? Seattle, Josh Allen got them in other games where it hasn't gone their way, and they've given up a lot of passing yardage. So that is definitely a weakness as of right now. And then red zone defense, they haven't been as stout with Todd Bowles this year thus far. 64% of their time they're giving up a touchdown, which is 26th best in the NFL. So they're near the bottom on that. That bodes well for us. And then sacks, 26, which is 10th best. So they are able to get to the quarterback. They blitz a ton. There are guys that can win. Lately, not as much, but the heavy blitzing by Todd Bowles does get the job done, even if it is manufactured, not just a four-man rush. And then turnovers, 16 takeaways, which is 5th best in the NFL. So they are a top 5 unit getting that football away, right? The blitzing, causing quarterbacks to make bad decisions, fumbles, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of stuff, Mark. It's a very high-risk, high-reward defense, right? If the blitz works, they're getting home, causing trouble, causing turnovers. If the blitz works, they're causing turnovers. Guys are intercepting. Guys are making, batted passes that lead to turnovers, et cetera, et cetera. But if any of that ain't going on, there could be beat very, very badly. And I think that's really the story with any Todd Bowles defense, right?
Yeah, I really like a couple of these stats that jump out at me, though. Obviously, the red zone efficiency by the Rams offense versus the Bucs kind of dragging in that area. And the passing game, I think the Rams are going to be able to move the ball pretty well through the air. I mean, the last week was a little bit disappointing with offense in almost all regards, but I think they could get healthy against this Bucs pass defense, is what I'm thinking.
And remember, as we covered earlier in this episode about the last 5 matchups, in 4 of those matchups, Todd Bowles was coordinating and or head coaching the defense, or being the head coach, excuse me. You know what I mean? So we've had success against this defense. Twice we've torched them. Another time we had a good day against them with Jared Goff. And then the final time we played them, everyone was hurt. The O-line couldn't protect to save their lives, and that was a wacky game. That was an outlier game if we're just being real about it. But more times than not, this Rams team, Sean McVay and the offense, no matter who the quarterback has been, has had success against this Todd Bowles defense. And I truly expect that to be the case this Sunday as well, based on not just these stats, but just even history against this heavy blitz 3-4 defensive scheme that Todd Bowles runs. So there you go, everyone. Those are the head-to-head stats. Bucs offense, Bucs defense, Rams offense, Rams defense. And hopefully all that will help you digest this game and who you're hoping to see win and the matchups you should be looking forward to. But with that, everyone, we got to talk about some injury report stuff, right? We talked about the rosters. We talked about the best players. Talked about the fun stats of how both teams have been doing. But we got to break down the injury stuff because that matters. And on the Rams side of things, son of a gun, man. We won the battle, but it cost us many, as some people like to say. Per Sean McVay and Sarah Barshaw from ESPN putting out this tweet/post, the Rams have put starting right tackle Rob Havenstein, starting tight end Tyler Higbee, and starting do-it-all DB safety nickel corner Quentin Lake on injured reserve. Sean McVay said that the hope is they will all be able to return at some point. Rob Havenstein, ankle/shoulder/leg/everything, basically, as he had not been playing good football since he returned from his, earlier banged up injuries. He has not looked great. He has not looked good. Maybe hasn't been terrible on a play in, play out basis, but there are some bad moments. There are some terrible moments. he just hasn't been good overall. And he doesn't look like a Pro Bowl guy like he has in years past. Tyler Higbee got his ankle rolled up on, I believe, and halftime-ish around the Seahawks game. Never returned. He obviously has a high ankle where they got to let him heal. But man, he's been injured a ton. Crappy. And Quinn Lake got his elbow dislocated with torn ligaments to some degree. Had surgery on it yesterday, a Tuesday, with Neil Eltrosh, who is the Rams team doctor, who also does specialty surgeries for baseball players, for their elbows, their knees. He is a specialist for surgeries for any athlete with ligament issues, truthfully. So luckily he's our guy, and he'll get Quinn Lake in a better spot. But Mark, I ask you, man, Rob Havenstein, one of the last St. Louis Ram guys, as Jake McQuaid's now on the team, both of them. Tyler Higbee, one of the last original LA Rams 2.0 guys, right? He was drafted in 2016. And then Quinn Lake, our captain, who does everything. This sucks, dude. This sucks.
Yeah, now I'm going to try to put a positive spin on it for you as best I can. Rob Havenstein, he hasn't been playing well, and Warren McClendon held up fairly well. And I wish the best for Havenstein. I'm certainly not celebrating his injury. Don't get this wrong, but I think we'll be okay. And this could be Rob's last hurrah with this team, right? He's
him and Tyler and Quentin. I mean, I don't mean to cut you off on this, but everyone, all of them are in the final year of their respective contracts. Rob is not extended after this year. Tyler's not extended after this year. And then neither is Quinn Lake because he's on his rookie deal. So, I mean, this is just really crappy timing for them personally, right? And I expect fully, and I know this is like, why are you bringing this up? I expect Rob and Tyler not to be back with the team next year based on Rob's own comments earlier in the offseason, based on, geez Louise, Les Snead's comments after drafting Ferguson, right, about Tyler, and he's in the twilight of his career and yada, yada, yada with that. That's nice speak for saying he ain't coming back. And then we'll see with Quinn Lake, right? I mean, I hope he's back. But let's be real, teams always factor in injuries and throw that in players' faces. That's just the truth, everyone. But definitely Rob and Tyler, if they don't come back, that may be the last time we see of them as Rams, which is shitty.
Yeah,
but
and they both, Rob and Tyler both have pretty big contracts. Rob's is expiring. He may have an option year. I'm not sure. Tyler's, I think, is expiring. So the Rams are going to, if they do move on from them, it's probably the right decision. But I think the offensive line will be fine without him. As far as the tight ends go, obviously, if you're going to run 13 personnel, you're going to have to. Well, they just signed a tight end. Was it Nick Muse? They already had Mark Redmond there. They're going to promote one of those guys so that the 13 personnel may be more difficult to pull off. But, Davis Allen, Colby Parkinson, Terrence Ferguson, they all bring something different to the table. I don't think it's a big drop off. Just a question of how effective they can be in 13 personnel without Tyler. And Quentin Lake's a big loss, obviously, and hopefully, I don't know if it's going to be McCreary, Jalen McCullough, Josh Wallace, but next man up. But the big issue, what really bothers me and is kind of sad, actually, is you look at these three guys and you just talk about leadership. Leadership in the clubhouse and on the sideline. That's what we're losing here. Not that they won't be on the sideline. They probably will be, or maybe they won't. I don't know. But regardless, having three, just senior leaders of this team out, it hurts. But I have full confidence that we'll be okay on the offensive line and at tight end. The safety position, Chris Shula's got some figuring out to do.
Yes, they do. And hey, to sum up your stuff from my point of view real quick, I mean, Quinn Lake, that's terrible loss. Josh Wallace filled in for the half of the game against Seattle. Based on the film I watched, give up a couple catches to Cooper Kupp, but I mean, Cooper's still a starting caliber player in this league. It's not like he's just some washed dude now or anything like that. I thought he did a good job overall, though, sincerely. So does he get the immediate start, or do they battle it out this week with Roger McCreary that they traded for in Tennessee, who is a slot guy, and that is where he's played good football. So I think we're in a good spot there in terms of not all hell's going to break loose there. And maybe it will. Hopefully not. Right. We'll find out as the weeks and the rest of the season goes on, as Quinn Lake will not be back by the end of the regular season. Seems like round 2 of the playoff tournament, NFC Championship. If maybe things heal up and he just lies to the Rams and says, put me a crazy elbow brace so I can just be out there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But it seems like playoff time, based on Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport's tweet/post, that playoff time the soonest if things go well with this healing process. So I'm expecting round 2, the earliest with him. That sucks. And hopefully Wallace, McCurry, and others can survive. And then with the tight ends, it's time for Ferguson to be really utilized. Yes, he is the main guy when we go 11 personnel in like deep, spread it out, deep routes, which he's been good, right? We saw big catches him multiple times throughout the year. And we're always like, hey, can we throw the ball to that guy more? So I think this will be the time for him to be implemented into the 13 personnel and make big plays out of that, right? Get him running with a linebacker. Get him running with a safety so he can make a spectacular catch on those guys, which is possible. So I think that's a positive. And then, Warren McClendon was playing better than Rob, unfortunately. But again, I think Rob just never fully healed up with the ankle, never fully healed up really with the shoulder procedures he had in the offseason. He just looks injured and slower, man. And based on Sean's comments, it seems like, they had that conversation like, yeah, man, you need to just get healthy because like your play is just not up to the standard that is needed. And obviously Rob agreed to that to some degree, and he's on IR too, right?
Yeah, and by the way, Terrence, 5 catches on the year, I think around 27 yards per catch.
Yeah.
So not a lot of data points, but man, he is dangerous. And can we just stop? I'm as guilty of it as anybody. I don't know why we still call Quentin like a safety. It's such a disservice to his role on this team, right?
He is a do-it-all DB, traditional safety, free safety, strong safety, slot. I'm sure if he, in a mega pinch, was like, you got to play outside, I'm sure he wouldn't fall on his face, and he can handle it for a small group of plays if he really, really had to. He's that type of guy, big loss, with all these guys in their respective positions. But like we pointed out, there are avenues for all of those dudes. Production on the field to be replaced. Right tackle, tight end, and that slot corner/safety. So there you go. There's the Rams IR guys. And then how about the injury report as a whole? Tampa's got a lot of guys that have dealing with something, right? Chris Boswell's got a foot issue. Ben Bredson, the guard's got a hamstring. Jamel Dean's got a hip issue. Chase McLaughlin, the kicker, had personal reasons. Hopefully everything in his life is okay. He did not practice. Hassan Reddick with his ankle and knee. He didn't play last game. Did not practice as well. So that's a lot of dudes that aren't practicing. And then you got a lot of guys are sick right now, Mark, which is kind of gnarly. Look at all the illnesses. There's some bug going around for this wintertime for those Buccaneers. You got Barton, the center. He's feeling ill. You got Abuka feeling ill. You got Dan Feeney feeling ill. You got Luke Godecke feeling ill. You got Logan Hall feeling ill. You got Baker Mayfield feeling ill. You got then Chris Godwin with the fibula, right? He was limited. Maybe he plays. Bucky Irving with his shoulder and foot issue. He was limited, but we'll see if he plays. Then Sterling Shepard with the shoulder issue, limited. Tristan Wirfs with his shoulder, limited. And then Marquis Watts with a hand issue, he was in full. So there's a lot of sick guys, Mark, and a lot of guys that didn't practice. So we'll see which group of those guys play. But I'm circling throughout the whole week. Is Bucky Irving going to play, and is Chris Godwin going to play? Right? Those are matchups that we can – or we should be worried about, right? Chris Godwin being a slot guy, who's going to handle that, Wallace and or McCurry, and then Bucky Irving out of the backfield. Who's handling that? I don't feel good about Nate Lamon or Omar with that responsibility. Is that more of a McCullough role, which I think makes more sense. And then to the Ram side of things, Mark, Xavier Smith still dealing with a concussion when he got hit pretty damn good in that Seahawks game on a return. He didn't practice. Hopefully he's feeling a little bit better. Nate Lamon had a back issue, but he was limited. Josh Wallace, he finally got some game action, so I bet he's sore with a knee issue, but he was full. And then Kobe Turner, who's been dealing with a back issue since the offseason, but he was in full as, D lineman. They're just getting beat up in the trenches there. So, hey, Bucs, a giant list of guys, a lot of them sick. And then Rams, not many, but we talked about the IR guys earlier, which sucks.
By the way, how did you feel about Kyron taking on punt return duties there after Xavier went out?
Yeah, I mean, look it.
I
If
found it scary.
Yeah, I mean, look at I don't think he's there to return. I
Right,
think remember when Cooper Kupp used to be out there, Mark, everyone,
right.
or he was out there to just be a
Designated fair
sure-handed
catcher.
guy, and you can
Yeah,
say, is
yeah.
Kyron a sure-handed guy? Okay, fine, that's a good devil's advocate there. But obviously, in those situations, they trust him. And every time he was out there, I mean, he was waving the fair catch. So I don't expect him to return. He's just out there to be a, quote unquote sure-handed guy, which is fine with me. Get the
Fair
punt,
enough.
secure it, and do that. But hopefully Xavier Smith will be cleared and ready to go by Sunday.
Yeah,
He's a good returner, in my opinion.
yeah, I saw a stat the other day that the Rams are one of two teams that do not have a 25-yard return in kick returns or punt returns on the season. So yeah, part of that is maybe because well, Xavier, we've seen it out of him in past seasons, but just haven't been getting the returns off this year.
Yeah, I mean, again, special teams, special teams, right? Blackburn, a homie of McVay, I guess a handpicked guy, whatever you want to call it. He's getting a lot of leeway, and I think I saw something from Dan Orlovsky, who's a Rams guy at heart. You know, they pull up a lot of stats for special teams, and we are dead last in a lot of categories for
Right.
not just kicking field goals and PATs, but other metrics have the Rams last. And I thought we were done with all that crap after a couple of years
Yeah.
ago, but here we are back.
Right.
And so I know that's a separate issue that we'll talk about a little bit, later in the keys of victory part of this. But there's that injury report, everyone. The nitty gritty of how everyone's looking heading to this game. Again, Rams, I have IR guys, some guys that are banged up, and then a lot of people are feeling ill for the Buccaneers and some dudes that haven't practiced either. But in case you forgot of this game, this is the Aaron Donald celebration game, everyone. So if you are out there, and I will try my best to be out there as well, as more than likely I will be out at this game. Sunday Night Football, 5:20 start time, and then a special Aaron Donald number 99 bobblehead giveaway. So you'll get Aaron Donald in the white jersey, yellow pants, throwing up the ring me celebration after we closed out the Super Bowl as he got that pressure on Joe Burrow next to a little goat in a Aaron Donald jersey. I saw the bobblehead. And if you're there for that, you'll get that. And hopefully we see a great ceremony and celebration for the best defensive player of the game, Mark.
The best ever. The best ever, period. Let's just leave it at that.
Fans rejoice everywhere, as the graphic says. And I will try to rejoice there along with you. I hope to see you guys there as well. So there's that, everyone. But let's get into the keys to victory part of this, right? After all that, stats, players, stats, injury report, stats. You're probably tired of hearing that word in this episode. Let's get to how these Rams are going to beat these Buccaneers. And with that, Mark, I'll start with you with the offense. Rams offense versus this Buccaneers defense. Give me your keys to victory. How are they going to be productive against them?
I really think the Rams are going to have to lean on the passing game in this game against the Bucs, as they have very often this year. That's really not a stretch. And I think someone needs to step up. We've been leaning on Puka a lot, Devontae, who actually had a bad game overall last
Yeah.
week. No Tutu still. I think we're starting to realize how important Tutu is to this offense, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
No Tyler Higbee. Who's going to step up? The third guy, is it going to be Terrence? Is it going to be Davis Allen? Jordan Whittington is an afterthought at this point. So someone else has to get involved in the passing game here. I'm not sure who it's going to be, but we just got to move the ball through the air. I think we'll be able to protect Stafford for the most part, even with Havenstein out. But it's all about the passing game and moving the ball down the field through the air. We'll mix in the run and be diverse like you like, of course, but we have to be successful throwing the ball, I think. And then, of course, cash in. We still haven't had a field goal since I think it's October 12th.
Crazy.
So let's just keep those touchdowns coming, huh?
No kidding on that. But we know that's a reality that we won't live in for long. That's just a realistic way of keeping things afloat on offense. And look at the thicker kicker Mevis. He's going to have to kick a field goal sometime this year. And it feels like maybe this game will be the first. And hey, way better what better way, excuse me, to find out if he's got anything good or not in a primetime game in a meaningful NFC playoff seeding game, right?
Well,
So I think we'll see some of that. But how about my keys to victory on offense, Mark? Well, like we talked about earlier, this Buccaneers pass defense can be gashed severely. And that helps and leans into our strength, which is an MVP quarterback who is taking care of the football and throwing the ball well when there are opportunities. And yes, he missed easy throws this last week in Seattle, an elite defense. I expect that to be much better this week and beyond, of course. So, in this feast or famine 3-4 blitzing Buccaneers Todd Bowles defense, how about that for a description for a team? There's going to be moments where they're going to bring it. And can Matthew Stafford dissect quick enough? Can the O-line hold up enough? Can Kyron Williams help pass protect long enough where a Devontae one-on-one, a Puka one-on-one can expose them, which they do get exposed when good quarterbacks and the O-line, everyone holds up to find that. And I think that will be the biggest deal in this all, Mark, because the injury to Hassan Reddick, who is probably unlikely to play again this week. He missed last week against the Bills. And because they have to simulate pressure with so many blitzes, it's going to be can the O-line hold up? Can Kyron help out? And then can Matthew Stafford make the throw under pressure? And I think more times than not, I think we'll do that. And I think he can do that. But that's going to be the main key there. And of course, be balanced, run the football. Let's not just go straight drop pack game and let them, come blitz and do all that with a backup right tackle, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that is the biggest key out of them all. Can we avoid the negatives when they send the house, when they're blitzing, corner blitz, safety blitz, full house, engage 8 for anyone who plays Madden. Todd Bowles does crazy stuff like that for sure. So that's going to be the main thing. And of course, let's still do the 13 and 12 personnel. Terrence Ferguson, it's time for him to be elevated into the 13 role, right? It was Tyler, Colby, and Davis, the only guys in 13. Terrence is going to be expected to do that. Can he make big plays in that grouping? I think he can. I think that'll make a difference. And let's not mess around and suddenly go back into 11 personnel only. And that would be my worry after last game. And all of a sudden, 13 didn't work. No, that was a great elite defense. Come on, Sean, keep it going. So that's my keys to victory on offense, because let's not put the thicker kicker in some bad spots on a primetime big game, right?
do you think we're going to elevate one of those tight ends then so that we can run the third? Do we need to elevate a tight end to run the
Yeah,
13?
I think Muse will get elevated, right? I mean,
Yeah.
when you're doing 13, I mean, you need another guy, right? We're already down
Right.
one. We had 4 tight ends, so it was no issue. Now we're down to 3 on the original active, 53-man roster. So I expect that to happen, which better happen, because if they don't do, that means what? We're getting more 11 and 12. That'd be
Yeah.
irritating for me to see. So I hope that's not the case, Mark. But as I shoot it back to you here, what are the keys to victory on defense? How is this Rams defense going to defend this Buccaneers offense with a good quarterback, elite quarterback, in my opinion?
Yeah, you have to consider, containing Baker Mayfield. He can extend plays and hurt you with his legs. You got to worry about the wide receiver group, assuming they're healthy. Let's assume they're healthy. Really good running game, great left tackle. There's a lot to worry about. And on the other side, from the Rams' perspective, they lose, Quentin Lake, who basically is the glue that holds the defense together, along with Nate Landman, I think. So, they just got to make sure that they stay structurally sound. They don't, the defense continues to function the way it's been, and that's going to be a challenge. It's not having Quentin Lake first game out. They're going to be sorting things out a little bit, and hopefully they just don't have any blown assignments, blown coverages. Don't give up any gash plays. So I think that's just to adjust to the loss of Quentin Lake, whatever that's going to take. And I know that Chris Shula and that secondary is spending a lot of time in the film room and a lot of time on the field trying to figure it out. How do they address this? And who's the next man up? Like you said, is it McCreary? Is it Josh Wallace? So, if they can do that, if they can just get someone that can play 75% of the quality of play that Quentin Lake offers, they'll be okay. But I suspect that there's going to be a moment or two in this game where we're like, oh man, we're missing Quentin Lake on that play. I think that's going to happen. We just don't want too many of those.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more on that. And to my keys to victory on defense, everyone, I'm going to go with the assumption that magically, unfortunately, Bucky Irving and Chris Godwin are going to be cleared to play. I'm going to go with that assumption, right? Okay, so preface that with how I frame all this here. So, this is going to be a hard defense to defend, or a hard offense, excuse me, for our defense. It is. Because when you have a Pro Bowl slot receiver working against backups, and you can say McCourty's not a backup, but we'll see if he even gets the nod or not. We'll find out on Sunday and maybe later this week. That could be an issue. You're going to have Bucky Irving, who is too good of a runner and pass catcher and just elusive dude to have a Omar Speights or Nate Landman cover one-on-one or try to tackle in space. That's a problem. So the Buccaneers like to air it out. They do like to run it out of more spread looks, and they do, bunch up and run it out of more heavier looking sets as well, of course. But my main thing is whether it's Bucky, Tucker, Rashad White, if they get the ground game going in any respectable way, we are in for a shootout, I believe. I sincerely think that will be the case. Again, I'm assuming Godwin and Bucky will play. And then even then, Tucker, Tez, Sterling, all those guys are productive too, man. So with all that in mind here, guys, the run game absolutely has to be the number one thing stopped, because if Baker Mayfield gets the freedom to play action pass where we have to fully now go, more all in to stop the run because they're having success on the ground, we're going to be in trouble because Baker's going to find big plays to Ibuka. He's going to find Tez Johnson, a Godwin, right? A Bucky Irving, a Tucker out of the backfield now that those guys have that, superpower as running backs. This will be an issue if I believe we cannot stop the run. Because if we put everything into, all right, Baker saved the day, there's going to be times where, again, he's got the arm, he can force some laser beams and get it in there, but there's going to be an opportunity or two where we can make a big play, maybe intercept it, maybe bat it up, or make a big, fourth down stop where we swat it, et cetera, et cetera. But if the offense is completely open, I think we're in for a really, really close game and a shootout, very similar to what they played against the Buffalo Bills this last week, where both defenses were getting shredded, right?
Yeah, and similar to the Seahawks Bucs game as well. That took the over as well in that one. Yeah, it could be high scoring. And Tez Johnson, man, he's a guy that really scares me. If you're not
Yeah.
familiar with him, he's already putting on a little bit of a highlight reel with some deep passes, really nice catches in the end zone. So they got to, if Godwin can go and Igbuka and Tez Johnson, that's a pretty formidable group.
It is. And then one more thing about this as I'm thinking about it. Okay, we're in known passing situations, right? For damn sake, can the D line or the pass rush bring down the quarterback? Because
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield has that fantastic feel in the pocket to bail, to literally physically duck under rushes, escape, run around, buy time, run for first downs. I mean, that is going to be a major factor as well. And that is a big key to victory, right? Say we defend it well in the back end. Great. But if we can't get the guy down because you can't run him down or he, scrambles, we're in trouble because he's a good backyard football player, man. He's got the arm to throw it anywhere. And look at letting Godwin and Ibuka and Tez and Sterling and Otten get extra seconds to separate and run around. That is bad, bad news for our defense. So that's another big key. When you're getting to Baker, bring him down because he will run for a first down and he ain't a slowpoke either. And of course, any of the design runs, right? A 3rd and 4 read option, got to have good discipline from that front seven as well. So that's another big key that I just remembered right now, Mark. And I could decide a couple big drives, right? Baker scrambling for a first down on 3rd and 6 or something like that because we couldn't get
Yeah.
home to him, right?
Yeah, and we saw some of that. We kind of like deja vu from last season with Sam Darnold this last week.
Yeah.
He did a really good job of evading what looked like sure sacks. So yeah, I don't want to see any more of that.
Yeah. Please get home to Baker. Get his ass down because he will run away from us and I'll be angry watching that in person. But there you go, everyone. Keys to victory on offense, keys to victory on defense. And, Mark, the universal one is all right, Ethan Evans, keep punting in the 1 yard line. And then, hey, hopefully block better on returns. And then hopefully you don't have to
Or
see the thicker kicker.
interceptions.
Oh, that too. But hopefully, we don't have to see the thicker kicker have to make any 50-plus yarders, which I don't think Sean McVay is going to do. I think he's going to trust the offense to convert and get closer. But no shock, right? The kicking game will be a hold your breath moment for the rest of the season until we see Mevis drill some 50-yarders, right?
Yeah, I think our field goal situations will be, off the top of my head, your 4th and 8 from the 17, something like that. We
Yeah.
might see Mevis.
But if he's out there, he better make those damn kicks or I'm going to be pissed. And I know everyone else will be, or angry, mad, whatever you want to call it. Well, I'll feel all those emotions for sure. But all right, everyone, we talked about how the Rams need to beat these Buccaneers, what they need to do to actually win this game. And here we are on a Wednesday. Yes, it is early in the week. We don't know exactly who's going to play. I went with the assumption that Bucky and Chris Godwin will be back. We don't know. A lot of people are sick on the Buccaneers. Maybe some guys are too ill to play. Probably not. And we'll see how our guys feel and yada, yada, yada. So we got to give you early score predictions regardless of all that. So I'll start with you, Mark. What is your prediction? Rams win, Rams lose, Rams tie. And what's your score on that?
Well, another thing in the Rams' favor is, back-to-back games, road games for the Bucs. They go to Buffalo. Now they fly across the country to take on the Rams on a Sunday night. They got a bunch of guys sick in the locker room. So that kind of, lends itself to a Rams win. I think a lot of things lends itself to a Rams win, but I think I agree with you. If things go wrong on the Rams' back end on defense, this game could get crazy. But I still think the Rams are going to pull it off. I think their offense is going to be a little bit hungry after a somewhat disappointing showing last week against the Seahawks. And I have the Rams winning 27-20. Now, the over under in this game is 49.5. I'm picking 27-20, but I would not even considering betting the under, even though that's my score prediction. I would not touch that in this game. But yeah, Rams by 7, 27-20.
That's pretty realistic too, and that's a good score. And for me, everyone, I'm going 29-26, but not a loss, as I thought I had changed that
Is that
earlier.
is
No,
that a score?
do not be afraid, everyone. I'm feeling good about these Rams. A win. A win, everyone. Why do I feel that way? Because I just think, as we talked about earlier, this Rams coaching staff throughout the years, Sean McVay obviously is the offensive play caller. He has had tons and tons of really, really productive success against this Todd Bowles blitzing defense. The 2020 matchup with Jared, the 2021 regular season matchup where they got blown out, basically the playoff game where they were screwing it up themselves, fumbling, dumb, bad snap, dumb stuff like that, or the score would have been worse, right? Cam Akers fumbled twice, Cooper Kupp fumbled. That game should have been a 40-50 burger in that playoff game. And then, yes, you can say the 2022 matchup was wacky, but everyone was hurt. The O-line sucked, of course. But that's 3 out of 4 times against the Todd Bowles defense they've really, really looked good in. And I think with this set of pass catchers for the Rams, this quarterback playing the way he is, this O-line that I think overall has been solid, McClendon's going to fill in and be just a healthier body in there, which I think will be better than an injured Havenstein. I just think they're going to score points on this Bucs defense. That is my assumption. I think they'll be ready for the blitz stuff. Hopefully, I think they will. And then I fully believe that the Buccaneers are going to get us on offense. And I think it's going to be one of those games where Baker's is going to play elite and he's going to want to put on a show in prime time. Could be the opposite, right? We could be like, oh, we know what Baker likes. We know what he can do. And Chris Shula has another masterclass, which is very, very possible. But I just think with them more than likely getting an Irving and a Godwin back, and then Tucker and Rashad White all in the backfield with all the pass catchers in general, and Baker, again, being a top 10 quarterback, I think they're going to get us. This ain't going to be some, oh my God, look at the Rams defense game. I hope so. But I predict 29-26, long story short, as I think there'll be a missed field goal, unfortunately. I think there may even be some missed PATs, all right? I got to see Mevis in those situations to feel good about it. Now, he has made all his PATs and that's been fine, but I got to see it many weeks in a row to start feeling good. Just like I have to see the Rams play good football for many weeks in a row for me to be convinced to pick them to win games against other good teams. So here I am, everyone. I think Rams are better. Rams had success against the Bulls defense. 29-26, Rams win on prime time. And hopefully no primetime stinker, as the Rams have seemed to do a lot recently. But I think this game won't be that time. On Aaron Donald's celebration game, don't screw this up. Win when the GOAT is in town, or in the house, the Rams house, I should say. Please.
That looks like a scorigami.
I haven't looked that up. That'd be kind of cool. As we got go
it's
ahead.
an odd score for sure. It's an odd score for sure. I'm thinking, how do you get to 29? It's
again, I'm just thinking missed PATs, some missed field goals along the way, and things get a little wacky, right?
If any team can score 29, it's the Rams.
Yeah, yeah. And then 26, I could see like Baker and them going for 2 a couple times, right? Like they did against Buffalo, and then they missed maybe, and that ends up being a difference in the game too. So maybe we get some unique score like this. I hope it's a blowout just for my own well-being of my sanity there at the stadium, right? Feel good. But again, as a football fan, you always want to see a good game. And I think we will get a good game on Sunday. And again, everyone, this game matters a ton. You got Bucs and Carolina tied for first in the NFC South. Crazy. So that Carolina game is not going to be easy later in the year. They have a lot to play for. Rams have a lot to play for to continue to maintain first place in the West and fight for the number 1 seed with the Eagles. So there's a lot at stake in this game. And gosh, I am excited. And I'm glad that, hey, the Rams will be on national television again to showcase an MVP quarterback, a great coaching staff, and great players everywhere, right?
Yeah, and the fact that they won the Seattle game takes a little bit of pressure off the Rams. Obviously, this is a game they need to win. But if they had lost that game, if Jason Myers hits that field goal, this game would be even more important. But every game's important. But I figured going into this 2-game stretch, the Seahawks and the Bucs, I would have been content going 1-1. Of course, now I want 2-0. But a little bit of pressure off. But man, this division is so competitive and so strong. Every win down this road is gonna be so important.
It is, and again, we only play NFC opponents from here on out, right? We started with Niners a couple weeks ago, now Seahawks, now Buccaneers, and then it'll be Cardinals twice. It'll be a Panthers, a Lions, a Seahawks again.
Falcons.
All these games are very, very crucial to playoff standings, and hopefully, as we expect here, you and I, Mark, Rams get the W, right?
Yep. Dallas pulls off the win against the Eagles. Rams beat the Bucs, and the Rams are in number 1 first round bye position for the time being.
Yep, we need it for all the IR guys, right? Quinn Lake, right? Come back first game after the bye. I think that'd be great. That'd be a great scenario to live in. And one more time, everyone, I will do my best to be at the game. I'd say if you're a betting man, bet on me being there with some family. And the Aaron Donald celebration game. Go out there, get yourself a fun bobblehead, be there to celebrate, and then bring the noise. Get that home field advantage so we can get national media people to always, stop talking crap about home field. Our home field is good, other than, when we play teams with large fan bases that travel anywhere, right? You know who they are. I don't got to go through them. There is this narrative all the time, and we got players talking crap about it. Looking at you, Bynum from the Colts. You were proven wrong when you guys took that fat L earlier in the year, right? So be out there, support the squad, a winning squad, and be out there to celebrate Aaron Donald and have a good home field advantage for our Rams in a primetime game. So I don't have to hear Collinsworth and Tirico talk about, oh, there's Buck fans here. Now screw all that. There ain't that many Buck fans. We got Rams fans in the house, and I'd like to see you there with me, right?
Yeah, and we might get if you're at the game, we might get one of those electric post-game SoFi reports from you, huh?
Yep. If you'll be there, I'll give you my quick, a couple minute shebang so I can get out of there and get home at a reasonable time. As you know, leaving SoFi is chaotic. If you've been to games, everyone, as I'm sure those of you that have know that. And hopefully I'll be in a great mood with a win. If not, I will not be in a great mood, and that'll reflect what I say in that video, which, hey, win, loss, you go through the ebbs and flows, and that's, I guess, the beautiful craziness of pro football and covering the team, right? But hey, thanks for tuning into this episode, everyone. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any video throughout this fun 2025 season we're all enjoying together. And if you are on the audio only or podcast only side of things, share the podcast, share the audio with your fellow Rams fans. And any of those options helps other guys see our content, guys and gals. And me and Mark, we very much appreciate it. Right, Mark?
Yeah, and by the way, if you missed Ian's expose, if I can use that word, on the Rams uniforms episode, check it out on the YouTube channel. It's really good. It'll get you jacked up about the Rams' future uniforms, perhaps.
Yep. In case you missed that, tune in that video. Rams are filing to get new primary uniforms in 2026. Not that far away. We'll see what they look like in late March, early April. So nothing like hosting a Lombardi Trophy in your Northern California foe's house and then getting some cool new uniforms a couple months later. That'd be great. Tune in that video, everyone. But hey, if you're wearing your blue and yellow, rep it loud, rep it proud. And I better see you guys at that stadium on Sunday night, as I will be repping that blue and yellow. And whether I'm at home or I'm at the game, whether you are at the game or at home or spending time wherever, watch Rams football, throw up those horns, baby. And don't forget to say, go Rams.